When we talk about the cultures of Southeast Asia, which ones come to mind? Well, perhaps Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand for sure, but what about Southern India? Stick around, I'll explain. I'm Thomas Robson, and this is Entree to Asia.
You don't have to be here for very long before you realize that India, southern India in particular, has had a strong influence on the cultures of Southeast Asia. Now in Malaysia, it's most apparent in the food, especially when it comes to snacking. We thought we would explore the city and see the sights and sounds around Kuala Lumpur. We dined al fresco, having a little bite of this and a little bite of that from the stalls and small restaurants wherever we went. In short, KL is a great city for sightseeing, but also a real paradise for partaking in any number of tasty treats. Malays are very lucky. They can find almost anything on the street, even a variety of cold drinks and snacks served over shaved ice any time of the day. Roti canai is a traditional Indian flatbread popular at breakfast with hot tea. The dough is stretched by hand rather than being rolled, a rather tricky process. Another version is filled with egg and other ingredients. It's called murtabak. These popular flatbreads are cooked on a hot griddle and then eaten plain or spread with sweetened condensed milk. In another option, the roti canai is chopped up and then doused with a mild curry. Comfort food at its best. Hot coffee, Ovaltine, and tea are served milky and sweet. Real aficionados insist that the tea be pulled or poured from one cup to another in order to make it frothy. This guy is an expert. Traditional chapati must be carefully rolled to a uniform thickness in order to ensure that they will puff up like a balloon when cooked. It takes practice to be able to regulate the heat and the timing of the cooking to make perfect chapati.
Have you ever been working on a project at home and somebody comes along and says, "You made a real mess of things"? Well, we can have a mess of things right here, and the term locally is rojak. Rojak means a real mix-up. Specifically now, it refers to a salad. And in this case, it's a mix-up of all kinds of vegetables: jicama, cucumber, bean sprouts, and then they add hard-boiled egg and some very delicious little cakes, one made from coconut and flour, deep-fried, and another one made from shrimp and flour, both of them lightly seasoned. A nice, spicy, tangy sauce goes on top. You sit back and eat this salad. Crispy, crunchy, fresh, chewy, tangy. It's wonderful. Hey, can we get rojak, please? Yeah. Little cake made with shrimp and flour here, being chopped up. This is the one made with coconut and flour. It has a crispy texture. Little deep-fried tofu. And we're going to pack it to go. Friend of the office here.
benda kelapa satu kali boleh 1.7.
Thank you very much. So here you are, walking down the street, stop at the rojak stand, pick up your little bundle to go, get yourself a disposable spoon and fork, mix it all together, and eat at your leisure. After a nice spicy Malaysian meal, you might be craving something sweet, but normally you don't have dessert at that point. If you want something nice and refreshing, cold or warm, however it is, but sweet, you have it during the day as a snack. Like for instance here, we can have chendol.
Yeah, chendol.
Fantastic. Now chendol is a lovely icy dish.
Yeah.
And I hear you can make it with some sticky rice too?
Can.
All right. Okay, la.
Nice, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So the first step is the gentleman is going to grate some ice.
Yeah.
A wonderful machine. Deluxe. And then a little bit of sticky rice.
Yeah, sticky rice.
The sticky rice is sort of just an added garnish. You can have it with red bean, they do that too. Oh no, it's okay. This is a syrup made from the gula melaka.
Gula melaka.
A lovely kind of palm sugar. Finally, here's coconut milk.
Yeah, coconut milk.
And the noodles inside, the green noodles, are made with rice flour,
Yeah.
but they're colored and flavored with pandan leaves.
Pandan leaf, yes.
A lot of people use just food coloring. This gentleman here makes the authentic with the Duan pandan leaf.
Yeah, normal leaf.
Oh, it's so hot outside, and this is so cold. You just sit back and you slurp this for the afternoon. It's got a wonderful, good flavor. Mix it up a bit. Oh, so refreshing.
Once you arrive here, you are met by a small family of goats and a large contingent of monkeys. Beware the monkeys. They frequently roam in packs here, and they will steal anything that isn't nailed down, including hats, glasses, food, even cameras.
We're just moments outside of downtown Kuala Lumpur at the Batu Caves. The caves have been used for many centuries now as an important Hindu temple. Climbing up to the top and back again is an arduous task. Perhaps once you get back down, you'll be hungry. Well, don't worry. There's many different kinds of hawkers here to feed the hungry. In fact, you can even get the famous bird's nest. It comes right from the caves. There's a large swallow population, and it comes as fresh as you can get it. It's a rare delicacy. But for me, I think my favorite is to enjoy the hawker fare of the local Indian culture, the people who established this temple and who have made such an important impression on Malay lifestyle. You get right down to it, eat with your right hand, you won't regret it. It's a wonderful experience. So this is the rava dosai, and dosai is normally a mixture of rice and urad dal that's ground together and fermented. But in this case, rava means wheat. So there's a little semolina, little suji,
Yeah, suji.
as they call it, and that's wheat semolina. And then the batter is flavored with curry leaf and fresh chilies and whole spices, and it has a very strong aromatic flavor, spicy and hot. The regular dosai is just a nice plain wafer, crispy and sweet. You enjoy it with many different kinds of sauces. Today we'll have the coconut chutney
coconut chutney and tomato chutney.
and the tomato chutney. And nourishing, extremely healthy, very high in B vitamins, good fiber. It's an excellent health food. Very little oil used. Nice one. Thank you, sir. Now I'm ready to go home style. I've already washed my hand. Just remember, if you're going to eat with your fingers, keep your left hand out of the picture, eh? Just like that. First, a little tomato chutney, a nice tomato mix. Good flavor. The dough is a little bit sour, a little bit spicy, and altogether refreshing and crunchy. This here is the coconut chutney. My favorite. And also traditionally, you'll receive a bowl of sambar, which is a very simple light dal, very liquidy, a nice soup, a few big chunks of vegetables. This food has a strong Southern Indian influence. It's very healthy for you. It is low in fat, high in fiber, rich in vitamins. It's a very healthy way to go. So when you're in Malaysia, don't miss out on this too.
"272 steps later, I came to the mouth of the main cave. The Batu Caves are perhaps the best-known tourist attraction in and around Kuala Lumpur. It wasn't always so. You'd think that just because of its sheer size it would be popular. In fact, with the exception of the Hindu population, the area was virtually unknown until only 100 or so years ago. At about that time, a small shrine was built and the area became known far and wide within the Hindu community as a pilgrimage center. To this day, thousands of religious pilgrims travel here in February during a festival known as Thai Pusam. Inside the vast main space known as the Temple Cave, there is the large Hindu shrine and temple. There are other smaller caves, including one set aside as a museum containing religious artifacts and figures of various Hindu gods. So although the Batu Caves are a tourist attraction, they are also a site of religious reverence, monkeys and all.
The Southern Indian food in Malaysia is just awesome. I particularly love eating off the fresh banana leaf like that. It just adds a flavor that's hard to match, hard to describe, but special. Today we should do a nice Southern Indian curry, and we can look at some of the basic ingredients that'll go into it that have had an influence on other Southeast Asian cuisines. But right off the bat, we should look at an ingredient that hasn't spread that far into the rest of Southeast Asia, but is really important in Southern Indian cookery, and that is the curry leaves. Now, curry leaf, let's spell it the right way, K-A-R-I. Maybe you should pronounce it more curry leaf, is an ancient herb, and it has a really amazing aroma in the food. I'll just mush one up a bit here and smell it. It's kind of woodsy but fresh and herbal, but just exotic is the best way to describe it. You can find these in the Indian part of town, and it's a great idea to go out and explore your Indian neighborhood if there's one in the town where you live, and look for curry leaves. If you can't find them, no problem. It won't ruin the dish at all. If you find them dried, I'd encourage you to avoid them because they really don't have the flavor that the fresh ones do. We're going to use some of those in this curry to give it a special taste. Now, on the fresh side of ingredients, we have some turmeric here. Here's some nice turmeric root, and check out the color of that. It's a beautiful orange-yellow color, and fresh turmeric has a flavor unlike powdered or dry turmeric. I have a stalk of lemongrass here. Now, lemongrass grows throughout Southeast Asia. It was an ingredient used both by Southern Indians and Southeast Asians alike, and it's very important in both their cuisines. Similarly, the shallot onion grows throughout Southeast Asia, and its flavor is very special, nice and sweet, a very good kind of onion to cook with, and it gives that touch that's also important in Southeast Asian cookery. Fresh chili, of course,
brought by the Portuguese in the 1400s. Well, that's a standard part of cooking throughout the region now. Dark palm sugar. Well, you can use any kind of sugar. If you can't find dark palm sugar, perhaps like this one here, maybe use a nice dark demerara sugar as a substitute to give a nice earthy, sweet note. Tamarind pulp. Now, here's a package of tamarind pulp, as you might find it in the store, and here's a nice lump of the tamarind pulp. All you'll need to do with this is to make some tamarind water. Simply take the lump of tamarind pulp and work it with your fingers in a bowl of warm water until it breaks up, and I've already done that over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this through a sieve and collect just the juice underneath. Let's do that now. The pulp that remains, well, we don't do anything much with that now. You can throw that into the compost and maybe you'll be lucky enough to have a tamarind tree grow in your garden. Not very likely. I'll just put this over here by the side. That covers most of the fresh ingredients. Let's have a look in this tin. This is my favorite toy in the kitchen. This is called a masala daba, and what that means is a tin for keeping all your ingredients for making curries and especially spice pastes. And I have all kinds of goodies in here. Chili flakes, which we're going to use today, both cumin powder and coriander powder, which we're using today, some turmeric, and then I also have some fennel seed and some garam masala, which are ingredients mostly used in Indian cookery, but which we won't use today. We'll talk more about them another time. We have some cloves, some cinnamon, and here's a beauty, star anise. Now, star anise is a real delicious flavor, a wonderful spice, and it's easy to find in the Chinese stores. Along with chickpeas and some coconut milk, we're basically ready now to start cooking our curry. And today there'll be no pounding, no combining of powders. We're going to cook this step by step in a very old-fashioned manner. Day 13. The Batu Caves are one of the biggest attractions in the Kuala Lumpur region of Malaysia. Once you've managed to negotiate with the monkeys, you're still faced with navigating the many steep stairs. At the top, you are rewarded not only with a fantastic view, perhaps of your friends down at the bottom who weren't so active, but also with an eye-opening excursion into one of the world's truly magnificent natural limestone caverns. And if you're lucky enough to be here at dusk, you'll witness an interesting changing of the guard. As the sun sets over KL, thousands of swallows return to their nests after the day's activities, while just as many bats come sweeping out of every conceivable hole, beginning their nocturnal search for food. I've said it before, it always comes back to the food. So it looks like we've got everything organized around our cooking area so we can continue with this dish. It's always important to get organized, especially when you're making curries or perhaps doing a stir fry. Let's just open our handy dandy ceramic pot. I love cooking with these. They are wonderful multi-purpose ways of cooking. They really keep flavors pure and clean, and they make wonderful serving vessels too. So we'll throw in some oil. And right off the bat, let's toss in these curry leaves. I'll simply strip them off the little branch they're on, and we'll put them in the oil, and we'll listen for them to sizzle a little bit. And when they start popping and sizzling, that'll be our signal for the next step. Actually, let's move into the next step a little bit, because we're not cheating here, but here's a good point. We want to infuse the oil with the aromatics from the cinnamon and from the star anise. So if we get those into the oil now, and then we wait for the curry leaves to start popping, we'll know that everything's happening the way it should be. So use the fresh leaves as a little guide. That is, providing you find them. Otherwise, if you find them hard to find, then simply pop in the star anise and the cinnamon stick and watch until they begin to change color. If they darken a bit, well, then it's time to move on to the next step, which is, not to keep you waiting too long, the onions. We're going to put in some sliced shallot onion, just like the ones I showed you a moment ago. Now, I can hear this quite well. They're beginning to sizzle. They're beginning to pop a little bit. And that means the flavors are being infused into the oil. So we're ready now to add in our onions. Nice slices of shallot onion into the oil with the curry leaves, the star anise, the cinnamon. And I've got some nice thick slices of lemongrass. I've just got about 4 of them there, reasonable size. You can cut them into little 2-inch segments if you want of the lemongrass. Just cut out 2-inch segments, maybe 2 of them, 3 of them, or slice them like this. I think this is prettier. Again, the goal is just to get the flavor infused into the oil. Some more flavor here that's important. A little bit of fresh red chili, whole. You'll notice that we're not quite pounding a spice paste, but we have most of the ingredients of a fragrant spice paste in the pot infusing in the oil. So now, I've turned down the heat a little bit because I don't want to scorch the dry spices that are going in right now. The turmeric and the chili flakes, and the cumin and the coriander powder. And as soon as those mix well with the oil and they smell delicious and fragrant, then it's time to add in the chickpeas. And man, does that smell good. That is awesome Southern Indian aroma. Chickpeas will go in. This is 1 can of ordinary chickpeas, and you can use a large can, a small can. It doesn't really matter that much. You need about 3 cups in total to serve 4 to 5 people, providing your curry is nice and spicy. And here we go. We'll mix these around so that they absorb all the flavor of these delicious spices before we add in any liquid ingredients. I've got a bowl of coconut milk over here to my left, and I'm just going to scoop off the richest part. It's been sitting for a while, and I don't know if you can catch this, but look how beneath here all this rich coconut milk, the thinner coconut milk remains. I'll skim this off. We'll use just the richest part for now. If you want to take a regular can of whole coconut milk and shake it, well, you'll get a nice, rich, thick coconut milk to work with, suitable for what we're doing now. That looks fantastic already. Now, just a couple of tablespoons of the tamarind water that I extracted. I'm going to use not a couple, not 2, but 4 will be enough. And there we are, 4 tablespoons of the tamarind water. I'm using my coconut milk ladle for this. And that'll give a nice, pleasant, sour edge to this dish. And to balance all the important flavors, the sour, sweet, salt, hot, and bitter of Southeast Asia, we're going to put in this nice dark brown palm sugar from Indonesia. You can use Malaysian dark palm sugar if you find it, or Thai palm sugar, or even coconut sugar is out there to be enjoyed. But if you can't find any of those, please don't hesitate to use a nice dark brown Demerara sugar. We'll bring this just to the boil, and then we'll allow it to simmer for about 35 to 40 minutes, and then it'll be ready to serve. Now, a real trick here, if you want to have a fantastic curry, is bring this to the boil, simmer it for only about half an hour, turn off the heat, let it cool down completely at room temperature. Put the lid on and put it into your fridge. Leave it overnight, and the next day, carefully warm it up. You'll need to add some more water to thin it down, but the next day it'll taste twice as good as it did the first day. That's the nature of curries and all good sauces. What a treat. I wish I had a nice banana leaf I could serve this on today, but they're a little bit tricky to find. If you can't find fresh banana leaves, or even better yet, if you do, use them. But if you can't, go to a Southern Indian or a nice Southeast Asian market. Vietnamese, Thai, or even Chinese will do just fine. And you can often find frozen banana leaves right in the freezer section. Simply thaw them, open them up, and see how your guests like to eat off fresh banana leaf. It's a real treat. There we go. Delicious chickpeas, Southern Indian style. Whenever I travel in Southeast Asia, I always find another great Southern Indian restaurant. You'll be surprised how many there are there. If you ever go to Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, you'll find one there for sure. Don't miss out on this opportunity. We'll have more great culinary travel tips next time on Entree to Asia. I'm Thomas Robson.
To find out more about Entree to Asia, including recipes and program descriptions, visit our website at www.entreetoasia.com.